Welcome back to Clear Cut, and we're back now with Jessie Jane Duff and John Jordan. And we were talking Venezuela before the break, and as you both know, Venezuela has had the backing of Iran ever since the days of Hugo Chavez, and that becomes an intelligence issue for the U.S. And the response today to the National Intelligence Assessment by President Trump was pretty public. The president saying his own intelligence chiefs have it wrong on Iran and on North Korea. The president tweeting, the intelligence people seem to be extremely passive and naive when it comes to the dangers of Iran. They are wrong. So, John Jordan, this isn't just a differing of opinion here. The president, in his own words, calling out his intelligence officials, calling them naive, especially on Iran, suggesting the country's still a major threat. So who's right here?
Well, I support most of what President Trump does in a lot of areas, but I can't condone this. This is an example of Trump, who has good strategic instincts in a lot of ways, but just a bad manager. You know, you have to sing from the same song sheet with those people that work for you, and you can't publicly undermine senior employees, especially when the entire bureaucracy are protected by civil service laws. They'll win, you'll lose. You can't do it, and you're giving the press fodder. So I think what he should have done was looked at what they said, and what they said, there was a lot of gray there. It was not wholly actually inconsistent, as the president alleged, with what he'd said. There was a way to square that square, and he just didn't do it and just flew off the handle, and it's just disappointing.
Yeah, Jessie Jane, drilling down here, I mean, the president rejecting flat out the notion that Iran is complying with the terms of its nuclear agreement despite clear evidence to the contrary. I mean, is the president the one being naive here?
No, the president is not naive. I actually agree with the president. First of all, these intelligence briefings should not be public, nor should they be presented in the manner that they are. It undermines the president completely. Whether he's right or wrong is not primarily an issue when you have Democrats up there questioning the president's capabilities, number one. Number two, the intelligence community is not there to set policy. It is there to give guidance. And when they essentially go out and say things will fail or contradict the president entirely, they have undermined their entire mission. Three, the intelligence community has gotten it wrong multiple times. Look at Iran. Look at everything that has gone. They turned the other cheek when they were embedded with building up their nuclear facilities. And what did the intelligence community do? They enabled the Obama administration. And the current people within that CIA are also people who had worked under President Obama. So this is not fair. They should never be out there advocating against the president's policies. One, we are airing it to our foreign adversaries, exactly what we're doing and what we think. Two, it makes it difficult for the president to have any trust or confidence in them. I find this repulsive that the way they came off was to undermine the president, and this is not the first time that they've done it.
Yeah, it is interesting, though, that both sides seem to be blowing the covers off of what is probably disagreement that happens behind closed doors anyway. And ultimately, you know, the president of the United States is the president of the United States. John Jordan, on North Korea, though, we know there's a plan for a second summit between President Trump and Kim Jong-un, but was anything accomplished in the first summit? I mean, why are we doing this again?
Actually, the president has done a terrific job in North Korea so far. What most people focus on nuclear weapons, the actual warhead. What people don't realize is that technology to deliver a nuclear warhead via ballistic missile is more expensive and more technologically challenging in many, many ways than just the warhead. And that's a process that has to be done empirically, meaning through testing. But since the president has met with Kim Jong-un, there has not been a missile test since November of last year, which basically means that the missile program, their ability to deliver a nuclear weapon, is frozen, and not their devices aren't deliverable. So I think that's a huge win. There's a ways to go, but the president of the United States, Trump, has given up absolutely nothing to North Korea, and this stands in stark contrast to the Bush administration, the Obama administration, and the Clinton administration, who pretty much gave away the store to the North Koreans every time they acted up. So bravo to Trump here.
But John, I mean, isn't the goal here to get the North to give up its nuclear program? I mean, the director of national intelligence, Dan Coates, said that he doesn't believe the North will ever give up its nuclear program. So is President Trump wasting his time on another summit?
Well, he didn't say they were never, ever going to do it. It is a process, and you said it yourself right there. It is a goal. It's an objective of U.S. foreign policy. We're moving. We're in a better place with North Korea than we were a long time ago. Maximum sanctions, maximum pressure sanctions are still in place. We still have a lot of leverage, and they're not testing, and they're dialed back their testing of the warheads and halted completely the testing of the missiles. It's a process. It's going to take a while, and this problem was more than one generation in the making. It's unreasonable to say that President Trump can solve it in 24 months.
And Jessie Jane, you know, there's more contradiction. The Pentagon is urging a longer commitment to the war in Syria. The president wants troops out and says ISIS has been defeated there, but we're still seeing violence almost daily.
Well, obviously, we still see violence because we're dealing with a region that has a massive turmoil. But the president has also ensured that we have made negotiations that in order for us to have withdrawal, that Turkey will not be aggressive with the Kurdish people that have essentially gone after ISIS and done the fighting for us. When you're talking about YPG, which is part of the Syrian Defense Forces, this is the strong arm that has gone against ISIS aggressively. We still have over 15,000 troops in Iraq who can respond to the region. I agree with the president because, simply put, he's protecting our allies while at the same time keeping his promise that he would withdraw our troops.
All right. We'll have to leave it there. Gunnery Sergeant Jessie Jane Duff, retired U.S. Marine, and John Jordan, former Naval Intelligence Officer. Thank you both for being here.